People ask me about the woman I married, the arranged one, the appropriate one, the one who fits the system. But no one asks about the other woman, the one I actually chose, the one who mattered, the one who disappeared. Today, I'm going to tell you what happened to her, not with certainty, because I don't have it, but with truth, the painful, incomplete truth about the woman I chose myself, and what choosing her and then losing her did to both of us. Because some people don't just leave your life, they leave a silence you never fill. She wasn't royal, she didn't come from wealth, she didn't grow up inside palaces or understand the language of power. And that was exactly why I chose her. Because with her, I wasn't a crown prince, I wasn't a future ruler, I wasn't a symbol or a position or a responsibility. I was just a man, trying to understand himself, trying to feel something real in a life built on performance. She saw me, not the title, not the expectations, me. The person I was when no one was watching, the one who questioned everything, who felt too deeply, who was exhausted from pretending to be strong. She saw all of that, and she didn't try to fix it. She didn't try to make me stronger. She just stayed, and staying, when you know someone's life is complicated, is the purest form of love. I chose her. Not because I was told to, not because it served anyone else, but because she made me feel alive in a life that often felt like slow suffocation. She was air, and I didn't realize how much I needed her until she was gone. Letting her go wasn't a single moment. It was a process, a slow, painful unraveling. The palace discovered our relationship not through confrontation, through observation. And once they knew, the pressure began. Quiet, relentless, strategic. They didn't tell me to end it. They just made continuing it impossible. My schedule tightened. My freedom shrank. The spaces where we used to meet disappeared. And slowly the relationship suffocated. Not because love died, but because love needs time, presence, freedom, and all three were systematically removed. I tried to fight for her, quietly. I delayed decisions, I resisted the arranged marriage, I looked for alternatives, but there were none. Because in my world, personal choice is an illusion. It exists only until it conflicts with duty, and then it's removed, politely, inevitably, completely. So I had to make a choice, keep fighting and lose everything, or let her go and preserve my future. I chose the future, not because I wanted to, but because I wasn't strong enough to choose her. I told her in a conversation I'll never forget. I told her I couldn't do this anymore, that I loved her, but that loving her wasn't enough, that my life had no room for her. That duty had won. She didn't scream, she didn't beg, she just cried, quietly, with a grief so deep it broke me. And then she said something I'll carry forever. I knew this would happen. I just hoped I was wrong. Those words destroyed me, because they meant she had been waiting, hoping, believing love could survive, while I already knew it couldn't, and I had let her hope anyway. That cruelty, unintentional but real, is what haunts me most. After she left, she disappeared. Not dramatically, quietly, the way she had existed in my life, without noise, without spectacle. Just gone. I don't know where she went. I don't know what she did next. I don't know if she's happy. I made a decision early on not to look for her, not to check on her, not to maintain contact, because maintaining contact would have been selfish. It would have kept her tied to something that couldn't continue. It would have prevented her from moving forward. It would have served me, not her. So I let her disappear completely. No messages, no updates, no way to know if she was okay. That not knowing is its own kind of torture. Because I wonder, constantly, is she okay? Did she find someone else? Someone whose life had room for her? Someone who could choose her without consequence? I hope she did. I really hope she did. because she deserved that. She deserved someone who could love her fully, without conditions, without the weight I carried, without the impossible choice I had to make. I couldn't be that person. Not because I didn't want to, but because my life didn't allow it. And I hope, desperately hope, that she found someone who could, but not knowing is hard, because part of me wants to believe she's happy, and part of me is terrified she's not, that losing me hurt her in ways she never recovered from, that I damaged her capacity to trust, to love freely, to believe that someone would choose her and stay. If I did that to her, if my choice broke something inside her, that's a weight I'll carry forever. I imagine different versions of her life now. In the good version, she moved on, she healed, she found someone who saw her the way I did, but without the complications, without the palace, without the duty that made loving her impossible. She built a life, a real life, with someone who could be present, who could commit, who could choose her every single day. And she's happy, not perfectly, but sustainably. In that version, what we had becomes a memory, painful at first, but eventually just a chapter, one she can look back on without drowning. That's the version I hope is true, because it means I didn't destroy her. I just hurt her, and hurt heals, eventually. But there's another version, one I try not to think about, but can't fully ignore. In that version, she didn't move on. Not because she didn't try, but because what we had changed her, made her compare everyone else to what we were, and no one measured up. Not because they were worse, but because they weren't us. In that version, she's alone, not unhappy exactly, but unfulfilled, going through life functionally, but never fully connecting, never fully trusting, never fully believing that love won't be taken away again. In that version, I didn't just hurt her, I damaged her. And that damage is permanent. I don't know which version is true, and I never will. Because the only way to know would be to reach out, and I can't do that. Because reaching out would be for me, not for her. It would reopen wounds that might finally be healing. It would remind her of what we lost. It would serve my need for closure, not hers. So I stay away, and I carry the not knowing, the uncertainty, the fear that I broke someone I loved, and I live with that every single day. She's not part of my life anymore, but she's everywhere in my poetry. Every line about longing, about loss, about love that exists without presence, all of it traces back to her. In my marriage, every time I look at my wife and feel distance, every time I fulfill duty without intimacy, every time I'm reminded that I choose structure over connection, I think of her, of what I gave up, of what might have been in my quiet moments late at night when the performance ends. When I'm finally alone, she's there, not as a person, as an absence, a reminder of the last time I felt fully alive, fully seen, fully human. That absence follows me, not as punishment, but as memory. Memory of what love felt like when it wasn't arranged, when it wasn't strategic, when it was just real. And that memory, painful as it is the only thing that keeps me from forgetting who I was. Before duty consumed everything, if I could speak to her now, I would tell her this: I'm sorry, not for choosing duty, but for how I chose it, for letting her hope when I already knew the ending, for taking her time when I should have been honest sooner, for making her believe we had a future when I knew we didn't. That dishonesty, that comfortable, cowardly dishonesty, is what I regret most, not the choice itself, but the way I made it. I would also tell her this: you mattered, not past tense, present tense. You still matter. You will always matter, because you were the only person who saw me as human first. And that gift, that rare, irreplaceable gift, shaped everything I became after. I'm more guarded now, more distant, more closed off, not because you hurt me, but because losing you taught me that loving freely is dangerous. That attachment creates vulnerability. That opening your heart means accepting that it can be broken. So I don't open it anymore. Not fully, not to anyone. And that's not your fault, it's mine. But it's also the consequence of what we were and what we lost. I would also tell her this: I hope you're happy. I really, truly hope you're happy. Not because it would make me feel better, but because you deserve it. You deserve a life full of love, full of presence, full of someone who chooses you every day, without hesitation, without consequence, without the weight I carried. If you found that, I'm glad. If you didn't, I'm sorry, because you deserved better than what I could give. And I hope you found it. She represents something I'll never have again. Choice, the ability to love freely, to build something based on connection, not strategy. She was the last time my life included something I chose myself. Everything after her, the marriage, the children, the role, all of it was chosen for me. And living inside that reality, living inside a life where nothing is truly yours, that's suffocating. But she reminds me it wasn't always like this, that I was capable of choosing once, that I felt freely once, that I loved without calculation once, and even though that love ended, even though it couldn't survive, it was real, and real is the one thing my present life lacks, so she stays, not as a person I can reach, but as a memory I protect, a reminder that I'm human beneath the role, that I've loved, that I've lost, that I'm capable of more than duty, even if I'll never be allowed to live it. What happened to the woman I chose myself? I don't know. Not with certainty. She disappeared, quietly, completely, and I let her go. Not because I stopped loving her, but because keeping her would have destroyed both of us. I hope she's happy. I hope she healed. I hope she found someone who could give her what I couldn't. But I'll never know, because the only way to know would be to reach out, and I can't do that, because it would serve me, not her. So I carry the not knowing, the uncertainty, the fear that I broke someone I loved, and I live with her absence every single day, in my poetry, in my marriage, in every quiet moment when I remember what love felt like, when it was chosen, not arranged. She's gone. But she's everywhere. And that's what happened to the woman I chose myself. She became the memory I can't escape. And the reminder I'll never stop carrying, that I was human once, that I loved freely once, and that losing her was the price of the life I was born into. If you've ever lost someone you chose, you understand. They don't just leave, they stay. In every reminder that some loves don't get second chances. Thank you for listening.